Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, Sitaram, welcome to Cooking with Madhu. There is no cooking today, just a travel video showing you a site at Port Royal, specifically Fort Charles. So this Fort Charles was used to protect the British colony of Jamaica from invasions from the Dutch, the French, and the Spanish. It was also used to protect the colony from invasions by pirates. So let me take you on a trip that will show you some of the main areas of this fort. Fort Charles, seen here, was actually renamed after being called Fort Cromwell. Interestingly, this fort was set up almost immediately after the British captured the island of Jamaica from the Spanish in 1655. The initial plan, inspired by Cromwell, a Republican and parliamentarian leader of Britain as a protectorate, he planned to capture Hispaniola. But when that plan failed and British generals did capture colonial Jamaica, it was decided that a fort would be constructed. And whilst this fort served against piracy and attacks from the Spanish, the Dutch, and the French, there's no doubt that it was also used for slavery purposes. It was used as a major UK transshipment point. In fact, it actually surpassed the colony of Boston, the North American colony of Boston, and all other general colonies, the 13 American colonies to the north, in terms of its contribution to the British Empire. I am quite confused at the ad hoc layout of some of the rooms, but we do see here a collection of photos that typify slaves who won their freedom by serving in the British West India Regiment. And this shows you the consistent theme of imperialism, that is, exploitation of the working class, peoples from former subordinate colonies, and then the imperialistic exploitation and sphere of influence to affect their dress code, their styles of mannerism, their language, and even their ambitions. But the harsh ignominy of slavery is depicted, albeit in a minor way, at Port Royal's museum seen here. We do have a slave auction handout or handbill that you can read with all the necessary information about the purchasing and the auctioning off of slaves. Indeed, we must remember the very sad chapter in West Indies history that the West Indian territories, especially by the British, were subjugated to forms of British Atlantic slave trade until the abolition of the slave trade by 1807. There is an interesting view that maybe we should gain reparations, as CARICOM has articulated through the CARICOM Reparations Committee, based on the work of Yui. I mentioned that in a previous video during my visit to Yui, but we see here of the shots of the ruined scenes after the 1907 earthquake. The West African slave trade brought in Africans from different parts of the West African coastline, the Dahomey, the Ashanti, the Igbo, Yoruba, particularly from regions of Ivory Coast and the Gold Coast. And a lot of these people came to parishes or districts in Jamaica. And we see here a contribution by the British government, who donated a massive cannon that is electronically manipulated, and this cannon could reach out to the sea. It could actually project and fire cannonballs. Really an exciting prospect. And this was done recently to attract and entice tourists who are coming in on cruise ships. We see here the Giddy House. It is an artillery house that was partially destroyed by the 1907 earthquake. And it's interesting to note that the 1692 earthquake in particular was damaging to the infrastructure of Port Royal seen here, and we have 13 acres of land that went underwater, and this used to actually be Port Royal. In fact, the colonial hospital, that was a really impressive structure. See this 200-year-old salmon tree called the 4 o'clock tree, because the leaves actually get turned in at 4, and it's a popular version of an umbrella. So this is one of the natural heritage sites that you could actually see when you come to Jamaica, the location of this wonderful salmon tree. And I wish you the best for this new year as the months keep rolling on by. And remember that I visited today the Port Royal Museum. It's still open to the public on Mondays to Fridays. There are even fishing villages and little fishing restaurants that cater to your diverse needs. Thank you for watching Cooking with Madho. Bye bye from the Norman Manley International Airport. This airport, located in Palisados on the Spit, a geography site where there has been significant deposits over time to allow this airport to exist. It's modern, it caters more for the business community, whilst Montego Bay is noted for accepting a lot of tourist-based flights. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and when you think about all that Jamaica has been through as a colony, it sometimes makes you depressed. But then, even in the airport, there was a tribute to the national heroes. So I want to say that hope that this kind of shows you a way forward as Jamaica doesn't just struggle with its identity, but asserts its dominance in the region and in the world as a global business provider through BPOs and a hospitality leader in the Caribbean. Chalgayo, Firmilenge. So I wish you goodbye and all good things that you wish for from Palisados. Bye bye from Palisados in the vicinity of Port Royal, Fort Charles. Bye bye from Jamaica. Bye bye. Annyeonghaseyo. Adavars Firmilenge. See you soon.